I was never going to share about what this cat told me on social media because it was too insane. It was too insane to me. And I thought, I can never share about this because if I share about this, people are going to want to have me committed. It is too crazy. This is not something I'm ever going to share. I did this session 8 months ago, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that things get weird here because I've shared a lot of conversations I've had with animals about super weird stuff, like crazy stuff. So I'm at the point right now where I'm just like, you know what? A lot of crazy shit happens here. What the hell? Like, let's just get weird, all right? So I'm going to tell you what I was never going to tell anybody. 8 months ago, I did a session for a cat named Florence, and she was in spirit. And I did the whole session, asked my usual questions. And then when I got to the point where I looked to see if the mom had questions she wanted me to ask her, I said to Florence, this is interesting. This is an interesting question. And she said, what, about the trucks? And I said, yes, about you liking big trucks, because her mom wanted to know why she liked big trucks. So Florence says, I used to be a truck. And I didn't even know. I was like thinking to myself, what the fuck? Like, what? I said, Florence, that makes no sense. She said, everything has a soul, even inanimate objects. And so I write all my sessions, right? I write what they say. I wrote that down, everything has a soul, even inanimate objects. And I put my phone down and I looked up and I was like, I quit. This is it. This is too much. This is way too much. What is happening? This is insane. I can't do this anymore. I'm seriously, this is, okay, it was too crazy. It was too much. It was too crazy for me. So I said to her, I really don't believe that, because I didn't believe that. She said, you don't have to believe it. You can believe whatever you want to believe. And I said, Florence, this feels very wrong. And she said, what would feel right to you? And I said, I don't know, if you liked trucks because you liked being up high, or maybe you drove a truck in a past life, but actually being a truck, that's impossible. She said, nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. And I said, a truck is not a living thing. She said, who said a soul needs to be inside a living thing? I said, are you saying this couch I'm sitting on has a soul in it? She said, it can if it wants to. Sometimes we come into objects in the lives of those we travel with, just to keep an eye on them. We do not feel or think, but we exist. So your car could have the soul in it of a spirit you travel with. Why do you think there are not as many accidents as you'd expect with people on their phones? I do not want to continue on with this. It is really not important. You need not know any of this now. You don't need to know this. I'm just telling you because, well, you asked. And so we didn't go further. She wanted to move on, so we moved on. But I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, are you so does this have a soul in it? This is insane. This is crazy. And I was really nervous about sending it to her mom, because I'm thinking, oh my God, what if her mom puts this on social media and everybody's talking about the crazy animal communicator who said a cat told her that there's souls in tables, and is a soul in each one of these blinds, or is it the blinds as a whole? It was so crazy to me. So I know that there are going to be people out there that totally believe this and are like, this is true. I don't even know what I believe anymore, to be honest, after all these conversations I've had with animals. I don't even know at this point. Nothing surprises me anymore, I will just say. So I sent the session to her mom, and one of the things her mom told me was, she said, about the whole car thing, since I can't stop thinking about it, my husband and I have joked that my car has a spirit because it's relatively new and constantly doing weird things, but it's gotten more crazy since Florence passed, so maybe she's my car now. I don't know. So another thing I just want to mention about this session, because it was really cool. So at the time when I was doing the session, I do the session remotely. At the time I didn't know this. She told me afterwards. At the exact time I was doing the session with Florence, her other living cat, who is not affectionate at all, crawled up on her and laid on her exactly the way Florence used to. And we both thought that was so crazy because, she said, he is not affectionate. He doesn't do this. And she sent me pictures. She sent me a picture of what her living cat did when he did it. And then she showed me how Florence used to lay on her. And I was like, that's insane. So I don't know how this is going to be received. Believe me, honestly, you guys, I don't even know anymore. Like this, I don't even know. I mean, you're just along for the ride at this point. We're doing this together, this weird stuff that I get. And that's going to be it. That's going to be it for tonight.